Good morning, welcome to a morning outlook. This is Kim speaking on Tuesday the 6th of June. So what's it going to bring us today? Well, I've started off with the Australian dollar, a bit out of order here, as in the normal order run on the market. It's not me being out of order, of course. However, what we've seen then, we saw an increase in interest rates, which was quite unexpected there. So taking the rate up to 4.1, expected to be the forecast of 3.85, where it was no change. Yet not only have they increased it, there was quite a chatter about further increases may be necessary for further tightening. Now they've been quite dovish over the time, and they're sort of sitting below the curve a little bit, but yeah, quite a surprise to the markets there. Be interesting to see whether it pushes any further later. So that's the Aussie one out of the way anyway. Let's just before going any further, come back to here. What else have we got coming out today? Well, the statement's already been released, so that's out. Really, we've not got a great deal. The IVPMI Canada, never really a great mover, but of course tomorrow we've got the Bank of Canada rate statement, so we just have to watch out for that. But and this evening, well, just after midnight, we've got the Reserve Bank of Australia governor speaking again. The Aussie dollar may benefit from his speech. So there we go. That's the important things today, and of course it's all heading towards the important things next week, which is why these markets may be a little bit more awkward. So euro pipped up a little bit here. Yesterday managed a slight update there, not much in the way of range. The overall picture is largely since Friday has been to the downside there, and well, overall is still to the downside. Question we got now is we've seen this rally come in yesterday afternoon. It sort of pushed through there and it's sort of holding up a bit at the moment. Question is it going to continue, break through the highs there and carry on? At the moment it's out of favour a little bit, but with all these changes in the markets, maybe it too will see some gains. Now, it was actually brought to my attention yesterday about the dollar index. I'll just bring this back here and I'll bring the dollar index. Now the dollar index is a flip of the euro dollar effectively, but looking at let's just change the pivot on here and actually seen this until Dino brought it up. There you go, and the struggle that the dollar index is having with the yearly pivot there. Now the euro had its own struggles previously, but this, as I said, it's struggling a little bit. Be interesting to see if the dollar actually does come off some more, leading until next week, where it's expected that no change will be made. But that's the expectation at the moment. That might all change. Right. Okay. So yeah. So dollar index turning around might just mean that the euro also turns around and becomes a little bit more bullish on that basis. Pound dollar, just looking at this in terms of it's still kicking around that green trend line, that pivot line that I drew on there. It's been previous resistance, support, and resistance and support, and etc. It's just managed to get back over it. Even in the near term, look, it's been dancing all around it. It's coming back for some support. Maybe a break of the current bar there it would be sufficient. It will have retested the lows there, and I'd say the lows, the previous highs again, the pivot level, and maybe it will turn around. Obviously got a quarterly pivot sitting around there at the moment, which may have not helped the whole situation. Well, it's given support to the situation, I should say, but a break above the 124.60 area would be a little bit more bullish. I've said that, and these markets will probably dip down today. And we do a down day. Dollar yen, US dollar yen, strengthening somewhat it's against the US dollar at least. US dollar is the weakest this morning by far. We could see a bit more selling coming from that. I'm always wary of this sort of very early morning. I say very early, and I know it's nearly 8 o'clock, and people think, well, we should be trading by now, but we get a lot of switchbacks, and just wary of when you see this sort of thing happening. But at the moment, yep, the dollar yen is looking on the softer side there. Right, Aussie dollar, well, we've looked at that. That's pushing up. I wouldn't be trading against that or anything else at the moment. I think I'll leave that alone, stay clear, and of course that rules out a lot of the Aussie pairs. US dollar CAD, well, the CAD's been strengthening here. The way it's coming now, I looked at it this last week, and it did move quite nicely, but it's whether or not. Oh, it says it moved quite nicely. It did actually come off in the end quite well. It's pushing down, looking like it's got potentially more downside here. Bit bitty where it is on the dailies here. Not looking so clean at the moment, but it has broken this sort of low of this consolidated phase. Just, I mean, on the shorter time frames, it's just worth looking to see if it comes back to the underside of that, and it's sort of working its way back to that. And again, a continuation may be on the break of the low there. So effectively, let me just get my pen handy for you. So effectively, you've got, oops, oh, there's the bottom. It's broken out of the bottom, and you're just looking for the retest and looking for the break of the lows there. So we'll see what happens there. That's all what I'm looking at the moment. New Zealand dollar. Well, this looks pretty good for a continuation yesterday, and just didn't happen. We had the reaction into the previous lows there. Now that was a reaction there. Hadn't taken out the prior lows there, so or the intermediate lows. So maybe that was a sign in itself. Sorry, it's coming down here. Hadn't taken it out, so in itself that it's got potential. But still looking rather iffy. Getting the bounce on the way back of the Aussie dollar really. Euro yen still looking on the dailies here. Bigger picture still sort of bullish-ish, but the more we dance around where it sits at the moment, it's sort of, is this a bear flag, is this a bull flag? It's a bit of an argument really. It's got a bit itself out of shape coming down the time frames. It's not the clearest. I still think it's got scope for a bit more of an adjustment here, a bit more correction, but we'll see how things develop with that. It's, yeah, rather bitty. So the euro, let's have a look. Morning, Michael. Euro pound, well, again, well, it's bouncing back towards the pivot as it sits here, the monthly pivot at this stage. Again, there's a potential for it to break through the previous highs there. Is support where it sits. A break of the lows here, well, that would give us a lower high and maybe a run down towards the S1. It seems to be just edging its way up there. The pound certainly seems a bit weaker. No point looking at the likes of Euro Aussie. Well, I'll do it anyway, but there you go. It's broken and broken. Euro CAD, on the other hand, this is continuing just about. Yesterday did manage a bit of an up bar there, but it seems to be coming off a little bit at the moment. But that again, a lot of these markets look to me that they could be easily changed, although this is an absolutely lovely trend in terms of what's happening there. The short term is very spiky. We're getting quite deep retracements. I mean, if you look at the between the different highs there, how much it's pulling off. We had this lovely move here into Friday. Monday, well, it's been quite choppy there and a bit iffy as it sits at the moment. Other markets really, a lot of these are, I mean, the pound CAD This is the way this is rounding off. We see this quite a lot. It rounds off like this and reverses and pushes back up. So I'm a little bit wary. It's not a clean move. It's not like a flag and broken down. It's sort of rolled its way over. But we'll see what happens with this. I'm just a bit wary, but it could see a continuation to the downside. We've certainly seen weakness in the pound, and this could follow through here. So there's lots of ifs and buts this morning. It's not the clearest of markets for sure. The Aussie pairs really are out of play. The Canadian pairs you've got to be a bit careful with. I mean, I'm looking at the pound CAD here, and of course we could, well, people might think the CAD's going to follow suit of the Aussie dollar there, and we might see an increase. We'll see. Okay, it's expected to be flat, but we might get another increase. Right, there's major currencies. There's not a great deal this morning. There were a lot more yesterday that were looking good. I had a list of them yesterday, well, 4 of them, but never come to much. Today, indices, let's have a look. Actually, let's have a look at gold first. So gold yesterday caught the bounce as well. Slightly weaker dollar. Helping that, as long as the dollar stays a little bit weaker, we've got some more scope for a bit more upside, a bit more bounce, but I certainly won't be wanting to buy it from where it is. There is that sort of resistance there at 1983, and maybe that's a good year. Maybe if that gets broken, that would be the clue to the upside. At the moment, it's quite ugly in what we're seeing here. Okay, gold, crude. So yeah, crude never really survived, held on to anything yesterday. It didn't really move a lot either. Ended up towards the downside there. Just looking at what's going on this 4-hourly picture, I can sort of see the beginnings of a head, or they say the beginnings, a bit of a head and shoulders going on there. It was to rally back through, then it would challenge the pivot level above there, but at the moment looking soft once again. Indices across the world then, CSI 300 selling off at this stage again. It still remains bearish. Crikey, it's been bearish for a while. The Nikkei, well, this has been the darling, and no surprises to see it's still very bullish. The Nifty 50 off a little bit today, it's a bit tight around where it is, but overall stays quite bullish. But weird old bars here. Lots of bars slightly higher, but they're obviously the price is gapping and closing lower. But overall, this is off slightly at the moment, but it is still remaining in that sort of bullish area. Might roll over at some stage. Higher interest rates to the Australian index. Well, as I said yesterday, we're sitting in this horrible choppy old channel. Now if you're day trading this and you're in smaller time frames, it probably looks fine. Yeah, I mean, it shot through its S1, S2 almost straight away there this morning. It's already gone. The markets didn't like the numbers. They don't like higher interest rates. Not good for equity markets. And we've seen the consequences of that. Overall, it just still looks quite like a bearish market there. And the more hawkish they are, the more this may be forced down some more. S&Ps. So the S&Ps just stay tight all day. As I say, so much of the chatter now is to do with the Feds. Now we had the debt ceiling last week. That's been signed off. Now we got the Fed meeting. Held up okay yesterday. Made new near-term high, but maybe some consolidation. God knows what's going to happen with it. The Dow Jones, which has been the softest, well, that yesterday ended up on a down day. Not looking particularly good. I mean, it has broken out of that sort of downward trend that was sort of sitting there, broken above it at the moment. It may just test that and move back up, we'll see, but not going anywhere. So continue looking at the US Nasdaq there. US 100 still continuing to push up pretty well. Okay, that's that. Finally, almost finally, the DAX pushing up at the moment. Has been pushing up, but a bit of a mess where it sits here overall. It's up slightly on the day, but yeah, not going too far. The FTSE, again, to me this still looks like quite soft and possible for continuation to the downside. Okay, that's pretty much it for me today. Not a lot else there. Bit iffy when we, as I say, we've got the Fed stuff coming up. We've seen some surprises in the markets, and they might need their time to settle down. Catch you tomorrow. Take care. Bye for now. Right, it won't be a second.